we can go ahead and start. I feel like a mission control here.
Okay, we're live.
Okay.
Good morning, all. Welcome to the June 24th meeting of the Board of Directors of the Maryland Environmental Service. With this call to order, I'd like to perform a roll call of all of the board members, starting with myself, Charles Glass. I'm here. Ms. Raketic.
I'm here.
Judge Smokin. Judge Smokin.
He's here, but he's muted.
He's here, but he's
Yeah,
muted.
I'm present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Heller.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Heller, on your vacation. Mr. Smith.
I'm here.
And Mr. Snee.
I'm here, Dr. Glass.
Excellent. Before you all can see the agenda for the meeting. With no questions on that, I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes from the May 27th meeting. Are there any questions on the minutes, or
So moved.
is there a second?
JP,
Second.
I'll take JP for the second, Mr. Smith for the second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much. On to the director's report. So start this month off. I have no expenses, no direct expenses to report for the month. I had a planned trip to Hart Miller Island that was canceled. I wanted to meet staff there, and I've never been to Hart Miller Island. But instead, we had a scheduling conflict that occurred, and I joined Judge Schmolken, Ms. Marnie Dolliner, and Ms. Stephanie Lindley, the project manager of the Lake Linganore dredging project, at a press event in Frederick County, announcing the successful conclusion of that project. So kudos to Ms. Lindley. She received great remarks from County Executive Gardner and the mayor of the city. And it was a great small press event. And kudos to all of EDR for that successful project finishing. Next slide. Can we have something else besides my expense report on there? Or we can go back to the, oh, great. This is perfect. I'd like to announce, I'm sure you've all heard and seen the press release from MES, announcing Ms. Ellen Raketic as the new Deputy Director of the Maryland Environmental Service. Last year, Ms. Raketic was one of the first people I had to work on a project with, and she showed her knowledge and skills and capabilities and her wit and her humor in that first stressful week, as we had to deal with an item going to the Board of Public Works. And I've continued to be impressed throughout her year. She showed through the interview process. She faced a competitive process with 32 candidates, five finalists, and she won the job fair and square. And I'm really ecstatic to be working with her, and to hope that she and I can learn and grow together professionally and help make MES an even better organization through her leadership. So I just wanted to make this announcement. You see her credentials. She's just a joy to work with. So please welcome Ms. Raketic.
Thank you.
Next slide. So this is the last meeting of these illustrious board members, starting with Mr. Snee, Esquire. Mr. Snee has the distinction of serving as a member of the MES Board of Directors longer than any other individual. His wise leadership over the past 27 years has been instrumental in guiding the agency's growth and continued success. MES achievements during his tenure include the developing, constructing, operating, and financing the Midshore 2 regional landfill, operating and expanding dredge material management facilities at Poplar Island, Masonville, and Cox Creek, assisting numerous state agencies and local governments in protecting the Chesapeake Bay by meeting stormwater management goals, developing and financing a new MES headquarters building, a LEED certified gold building, and national leadership in recycling and composting. As the first and only chair of the board's Human Resources Committee, Mr. Snee has been the driving force in MES developing and implementing a successful pay-for-performance program for MES employees. Mr. Snee's contributions to MES will be long and lasting, and I am extremely thankful for the time that I've spent working with Mr. Snee, and will continue to rely on his counsel moving forward. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Mr. J.P. Smith joined the MES board in 2016, and Mr. Smith has been a pleasure to work with. During Mr. Smith's time on the board, the Lake Linganore project was initiated and concluded. MES, with a combination of grants from MDE and local state funding, completed the enhanced nutrient removal upgrades at the Freedom District and the MCI Hagerstown wastewater treatment plants. And MES has completed the contracting and management of water and wastewater treatment plants throughout Garrett County, including 27 treatment facilities throughout that county. Mr. Smith, the cow and the quiet, support has been incredible this first year for me, and I thank you for all of your service.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. Hall joined the MES board in February 2020 and has been a gentleman throughout his time on the board. He joined the board in the pandemic and only attended one meeting in person, but throughout the past year, he's been both a scholar and a gentleman and a great sounding board for me professionally. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for your service on the board. I want to personally thank all of you for your service to the state of Maryland and to MES, and to wish you nothing but the best in your futures and continued contact with MES. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Next slide. We have a retirement to announce. A well-deserved retirement. Mr. Carroll Burrell, started working for MES on July 1st, 1990. So we have to give him 30 years, 11 months, and 14 days at MES. And he started in purchasing and administration at the Central Acceptance Facility in Baltimore County in environmental operations. Over time, his responsibilities grew to include additional operational sites in Baltimore County, and he was promoted a number of times, including to plant manager and then administrator positions. Mr. Burrell worked in Baltimore County for 27 years. In 2018, Mr. Burrell moved to the Prince George's County Materials Recovery Facility as a senior operations manager, where he has used his vast knowledge to improve operations, manage expenses, and contribute to the success of that facility. Mr. Burrell is also an accomplished musician and has enlivened many environmental operations meetings with his talents. He's a valued colleague, and we will miss him and wish him nothing but the best in his retirement. Next slide. So the only two real big updates for you on work I've done in the last month. I have received some feedback from the letter that I sent to the historically Black college and university presidents in the state of Maryland. And I had an initial meeting with Dean Yu of Morgan State. He is the dean of the physical sciences at Morgan State. And then it also includes computer science. So we had a robust 45-minute meeting, and I have sent him some follow-ups. And I plan to meet with him again. He's interested in all four aspects of engagement that I described last month. So I'm looking forward to continuing that push. I also have received contact from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, but I plan to meet with them in the coming weeks. I haven't followed up on that contact. And then the one great announcement is that on June 4th, 2021, with the leadership of Mr. Gillespie, we held an outreach meeting between MES and ACEC, the American Council of Engineering Companies. If you recall, there's been some feedback from ACEC over the years, that has critiqued MES's engagement with them. We have had presentations in the past, I'm told. This presentation went very well. The managing directors from all the operating units presented along with procurement and MBE. And I gave some brief opening remarks. Mr. Gillespie managed the interaction. And at the end, we got great feedback saying that, you know, they recognize that we're willing to engage. There should be lots of opportunities coming forward with the American Rescue Plan. And we have an open line of communication with them. So we look forward to engaging with them and helping spur on innovative projects moving forward. And that's it. That's it for my director's report. Let's look at the agency activity report for the past month. Are there any questions on any of the activities listed?
An update from one of our team members on Cox Creek, please.
Sure. Ms. Dolliner.
Sure. Are you talking about the Cox Creek expansion projects?
Well, I'm looking at 3 entries. Page 1 of 5, it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th entries, and 5th.
Okay. So that's the mitigation task and the task 1, there was extension, a budget increase, that's project management and our support. And basically right now at Cox Creek expansion, we have a board item on that project as well. We just wrapped up the base dike widening, which widened the dike around the entire existing facility up to the grade of 36. We are wrapping up the demolition project, which was the remediation of building 101. So the last samples came in with that, so that's closing out. And then we are about to award the plus 60 dike raising project. So we have a board item on that, and we'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the agency activity report?
I mean, the other big number is Dundalk Marine Terminal.
Yes, that's our annual operations of the Dundalk Marine Terminal support services that we provide. It's a groundwater treatment plant operation, and it's also a chrome ore residue management of materials like soils and liquids. We support the port when they're doing construction, cleaning out manholes, and just general things like that, environmental support.
Okay, and then just moving down the list, Hart Miller, Masonville, and Poplar, also significant sums of money.
Yes, there are operation projects. We have 4 dredge material containment facilities. Actually, Poplar's more of a restoration project. Masonville, Cox Creek, and Hart Miller Island. We provide management of any inflow coming in the facilities, although Hart Miller doesn't have any anymore. We manage and monitor the discharge from the facilities, and we provide operation and maintenance of the dike systems to make sure everything is good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide. So this is the first, I just wanted to present this to the board and have the board vote on this. Ms. Dolliner can help me with this as well. But we have the client, Hawkins Point LLC, Tronox, is procuring MES's services, a private entity procuring MES services over $250,000. So starting after July 1, this would be an item in the new law that require both the MES board approval and then Board of Public Works approval. Ms. Friketic has already reached out to BPW, Secretary Gontram, and determined that it's not necessary for them to provide any feedback before the law is law. But I wanted to make sure that we showed this to you all, and that if you wanted to vote on it, you would, if someone would make a motion for it. If not, just to make sure you are aware that a private entity is procuring these services from Environmental Dredging and Restoration, MES.
Dr. Glass, I just want to mention that we have been operating and helping them out since April of 2020. We provide wastewater treatment plant operation, general site maintenance, and help with them with their permit compliance. And this change order is just additional work as this project keeps continuing to grow. They have asked for additional services from us.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Any questions or concerns from the board?
I see no reason to not approve this, but other people might have a different idea. Obviously, something is important and needs to be done at some point. This is the point, I think.
I agree with what I believe Judge Malkin was saying, and I definitely want to just put my endorsement on the project. I'm not sure if it's easier if we do a motion or not.
I don't believe it's required. I just wanted an abundance of caution and an abundance of being open and transparent. I just wanted you all to see it and note that this will be a part of the change moving forward, that this will require after July 1 a vote on the board and a vote at BPW.
Perhaps one way to do it is just say there is no objection made.
Okay, excellent.
So that I think would be fine, if that's agreeable to everybody.
Sure. Do any of the board members have an objection to MES continuing on with this change order and continuing on with this work?
Morgan Hall, no. None.
Same.
I'm hearing none, so I think we're good. Thanks a lot. And this is part of our mapping, Judge Smolkin. We're just making sure that you see the mapping and kind of get a bearing, and you'll see that throughout this throughout our presentation today. Mr. Patel.
Good morning. So we'll start with labor sales as usual. Since there's one less pay period in fiscal year 21, our labor sales are less than the fiscal year 20. We are running at about $941,000 less in labor sales as compared to last year. It is uniform. The reduction is expected at 3.85% because of one less payroll, and it is uniform throughout the groups, except the environmental operations with one less pay period has more labor sales than the last year. So just want to point it out to that fact that environmental operations has a higher labor sales. Next slide, please. So the change in net assets, our budget was $3.3 million. Right now we are at $3.865 million. Now this is May. June makes a significant difference in the bottom line because all the year-end accruals, all the purchases that are pending, we usually try to push it through in June. So there's nothing carry over in the next fiscal year. So very likely the change in net assets, I expect to be between 3.3 million to 3.5 million at the end of fiscal year, which is in line with the last year also. And mainly the biggest increase in net assets is because of drastic reduction in overhead cost in the higher management positions and the fringe benefits on it. So we have filled most of those positions. So fiscal year 22, it will stabilize. The only other difference was the interest income is significantly less than the last year, and hopefully in fiscal year 22 going forward, even that component will catch up, and then we should be pretty stable in changing net assets. Next slide, please. So the total net asset components are made up of two parts, is the invested in capital assets and the unrestricted net assets. Usually it'll wind up around 50-50. We haven't invested too much on the capital equipment vehicles in fiscal year 21. So right now we have uneven distribution of invested in capital assets and unrestricted net assets. At the end of the fiscal year, it will probably fall in the same line as a normal percentage. And we will probably investing in the vehicles, trucks, and if any other necessary capital equipments, most of them will materialize in fiscal year 22. Next, please. So as you can see here, the full year budget was 3.1 million. Right now, actual May is 3.5 million. And as I explained earlier, we're gonna have a lot of procurement going through, a lot of accruals for the fiscal year 21 expenses. So I expect that it will be higher than 3.1 million, and it will fall between 3.3 million to 3.5 million range. And this is the 2021 financial plan that was originally presented in July, which shows increase in net assets, 3.1 million. Now, next presentation will be June, so the financial plan wouldn't matter much. We will have the actual results of fiscal year 2021, and we're gonna start working on fiscal year 2022 financial plan. Any questions on any of the presentations so far? Okay, we can go to the next slide. So here is the major accounts over 90 days. Town of Sudlersville, it is still standstill. There's no progress made on that. So we are keeping this on this slide. The DC Department of General Services, I mentioned in the last meeting that we are billing them in installments, and we received the first installment of $2,000. So within 5 installments, that $10,000 will be cleared out, and it will be removed from the over 90 days next month, because we already started receiving the installments on that. That leaves us with the 3 private South Star Limited Partnership. Not much progress has been made that, but it was the logistic of the South Star Limited Partnership. Now the Homeowners Association has been formed, and it's just the technicality where they will have the bank account, and then they will give us the $13,000 for the sinking fund. They are paying their regular invoices, so it's not a big concern. But we will receive that $13,000, very soon, as soon as they straighten out their bank accounts and all that. And Wise Recycling and JR Sales, we have received judgment on both of those. JR Sales has been paying $100 here and there, every couple of months, but we'll pursue with legal what we can do next, but we have received judgment on Wise Recycling and JR Sales. Any other questions?
We have a statute of limitations issue with Sudlersville.
No, typically, The statute of limitations does not run against the state of Maryland.
Okay.
And one last comment, I have been presenting these financial statements for maybe 5-6 months, but I really thank Mr. Sneed, Mr. Hall, and Mr. Smith for constructive suggestions. And I thank you for your service to MES also.
If I might ask a
Thank you.
question of
Thank you.
Thank you.
all of you, I agree with that. Fine. Thank you.
Your question, Judge?
I have a quick question. Yeah, the Weiss company, is that in any kind of bankruptcy?
They are not in bankruptcy, but they are located out of state.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
That's all. Thank you.
Miss White, are you back on the Zoom?
I'm back. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Our total positions currently are 856, and when our vacancies are filled, when our new hires come on board, we'll be at a vacancy rate of 6.78%, which is a lot better than last month, so I'm happy about that. We should end the fiscal year a little under 5% for our overall vacancy, and as most of you know, that's an ongoing best goal every year for human resources. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Group updates. I should have included in my director's report that Mr. Mark Serio is stepping up as acting director of water and wastewater, filling the shoes of Ms. Fricketti. Mr. Serio.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is an interesting project that really aligns with Dr. Glass's top priorities for the agency this year, and that is safety, which is the #1 priority. So that's why I chose this to present today. Cambridge Wastewater Treatment Plant, we operate the facilities there and have been for quite a while. We do not own the facility. The city of Cambridge does, so we are kind of a contractor on their land. It processes about 3 million gallons per day of sewage, so it's one of our larger operations. Not long ago, Maryland Occupational Safety and Health came out and paid us a visit, which they do throughout the state on most facilities, and they found that the current railings that we had around the facility, and you can see there's quite a bit of it, were out of current code. Because this is a safety issue with personnel involved, unlike building your home where you're in code when it was built, you're fine until you rebuild or renovate. We have to stop everything we're doing and get the safety issue fixed ASAP. So we got the letter, we got the report, we worked with our safety and compliance office, water, wastewater engineering as well. I think we were out there on a Sunday with contractors taking a look at things and seeing how we could make this better quickly for the city. So it was about $132,000 worth of upgrades. The contractor was C&K Lord. They are local, so we were able to pump that money back in the local economy with the consent of the city of Cambridge, of course. And we raised these railings around this picture here is the processing tanks, aeration tanks, but it was throughout the plant, the clarifiers and other processing structures on the plants. We had to raise the railings about 4 inches, had to add mid rails, the railing in between, of course, and also kickboards, toe boards. You can see in that photo we had to upgrade for. Some areas we had chains that were wrapped around the grit removal areas to keep staff safe and clear. We had to replace that as well. New handrails on the stairways. It was quite an effort, but we all came through and worked together. So it was a total of 25,500 feet of railing renovate. So you can imagine the amount of work that went into the fabrication from CAK Lord and what we had to do to get that out there and fixed and the measurements. For you math heads out there, you'll quickly notice that's almost 5 miles worth of renovation of railings. So we did that along with the city inspectors. Everything looked fine. We have now implemented new inspection frequencies for the railings throughout our facilities in the state. And I'm happy to say we're back in compliance. Thank you.
Excellent. Next slide. Ms. Dollar.
Hi. Poplar Island is also called Paul S. Harbean's Ecosystem Restoration Project at Poplar Island. It's an environmental restoration project through a state and federal partnership. MES operates Poplar Island on behalf of our client, the Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Port Administration, who's the state sponsor, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is the federal sponsor. Next slide. The lateral expansion of Poplar Island was recently completed in January, providing 575 acres of capacity and new cells 7 through 11 and an abatement area to provide shallow water habitat and protection for the wetland cell dikes. The lateral expansion provides 23 million cubic yards of capacity. The lateral expansion, which is currently ongoing, will provide another 5 million cubic yards of capacity, and that's the raising of the dikes in cells 2 and cell 6. I just want to mention the first inflow is ongoing right now. It started in April and it will be done in August, and will bring in roughly 2 million cubic yards of material. From the beginning of the expansion project, MES worked with MDOT, MPA, and the U.S. Army Corps to apply for and coordinate the tidal wetlands license and the sediment and erosion control permits. We also do permit required exterior turbidity monitoring, total suspended solids monitoring, and noise monitoring during the dike construction. And we also conduct permit required monitoring of the spillway discharge from the facility. MES supports the Poplar Island expansion through the incremental dike raising of cells 2 and 6. This is done as the dredge material elevation increases, so it will be done over the next 2 years. MES also reclaimed sand in cells 8, 9, and 10 for future dike construction, and that's shown in picture top right. We also completed a dike repair in the newly constructed cell 9, and that is in the middle top picture. We also coordinated with the Corps to fix some gaps in spillway 19 that was just constructed. We used flowable fill, and spillway 19 is shown bottom left, and the flowable fill process is bottom right. And we also installed some weir boxes between cells 8 and 9 and 9 and 10 at the cross dike locations to allow water management between the cells. And there is one there pictured at the bottom middle. Any questions about Poplar Island expansion?
I don't have a question, just a comment. For anybody that hasn't been out there, I would encourage you to go. It's really, really fascinating and well done. And it's worth taking a field trip out to see Poplar.
And hopefully with COVID doing much better right now, we're going to be opening tours up soon again.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Dollar. Mr. Gillespie.
This morning, I'm going to highlight some of the work that our Water Quality Services section does for Carroll County. We've always had a relationship with Carroll County. We operate, our water wastewater group operates the Freedom Wastewater Treatment Plant there. But we haven't done much on the water side with Carroll County up until about 2 years ago. They did have a superintendent that was leaving the county. So they reached out to MES because they knew of our service capabilities, and they asked us to provide superintendent services while they were doing their search for backfilling that position. As a part of that process, our water quality services section started providing services and started with a review of their drinking water permits. And we quickly found out that the county was sampling for some parameters that they didn't really need to per their permit. And then there were some other things that they could be sampling for that they weren't sampling for. So we started off by getting their sampling and their permit in line. And through that process, they eventually hired their own superintendent. So our operations staff aren't working there anymore at the time being, but our water quality services staff continue to work there. So this is a client that, although it came through our operations, maintained a client just on the just on the reporting and lab and sampling side of things. There are a number of water treatment plants, a couple of wastewater treatment plants that are county operated that we actually provide the sampling lab and reporting for. We do biweekly sample pickups, bottle delivery. As you can see, here's the number of bottles getting ready to go out to the county. We do the compliance tracking for the county and the reporting. We also help them develop their biomonitoring and toxic chemical plans, do their data review, do all the coordination with the labs, and then also do their monthly net DMR reporting, bacteriological reports, and inorganic reports. So it's a good example of the one MES mentality, where actually, one group was initially providing services, but they saw the value in at least keeping on some other services, some ancillary services that MES can provide. So you can see the quote here from the bureau chief with the county, Mr. Andrew Watcher. He's been very pleased with MES and our technical services that we've been able to provide. So we look forward to continuing to provide the service to the county going forward.
Do you test for PFAS?
We do not currently test for PFAS. That is, as you're aware, a subject that is getting more and more attention recently. From an MES perspective, Dr. Glass, Ms. Friketic, myself, Mr. Serio, that is something we're tracking the legislation on, how our treatment plants can respond to treatment of PFAS, if at all. We're also tracking it through potentially implementing a biochar project, which is one of the only ways that they say you can actually treat successfully for PFAS now. But surprisingly enough, it's also a concern at our BWI operations, because we do the sampling and pump out and hauling of all the liquid where the MAA's fire patrol practices. So we have that rainwater, even during the midst of the practice, that rainwater or stormwater has typically not been considered to be haz waste, but some of the PFAS legislation that was proposed this past session here in Maryland actually called for that to be considered hazardous waste because of potential PFAS contamination. So it affects MES operations in a lot of different ways, and we're monitoring it closely.
I would encourage you to do so, because that's going to be the next wave of litigation.
We are tracking it in almost every unit, in every division. Mr. Ford has some issues with it as well, and in a SWANA conference, it was a major highlight of their conversations. So it's all over the place right now. We know that you can treat it with thermally above The argument is whether you have to go above 900 degrees Celsius or whether you can treat it at over 550, 600 degrees Celsius, when most organic carbon is turned into ash. But since it's used as a fire retardant, there are some people that believe that you have to go over 900 degrees Celsius. And there's studies that are seeing whether it's released as a gas during biochar creation. They know it's not in the biochar, but they're worried about air emissions. But then we also already know that granular activated carbon does absorb PFAS. The problem is you have the hazardous substance on the activated carbon. But at least it would get it out of drinking water if there's a place that has it in drinking water. So we are monitoring. It is the hot button topic throughout the environmental profession right now. Next slide. Thank you, Mr. Gillespie.
Sir.
Mr. Ford.
I had to find the mute button. Sorry about that. We'd like to highlight the Midshore Regional Recycling Program, which is the sister partnership to the Midshore Regional Solid Waste Management Program. Next slide. It's a highly successful cooperative partnership between Caroline, Kent, Queen Anne's, and Talbot counties. And MES is a managing partner of this program. What it allows us to do is to use the economies of scale in regards to volume that would then allow the counties to offer recycling service to their residents that would likely otherwise be cost prohibitive. We fund the program through a surcharge at the Midshore 2 landfill. It's approximately $5 per ton. And from the revenue from the commodity sales. So our scope of work for this project is the transportation, consolidation, and marketing of those recyclables that we collect. We collect them as a source separated commodity so that we separate plastics and paper and cardboard as part of the collection. And then we also offer electronic recycling, CFC removal, at the county-run homeowner drop-off sites, as well as scrap tire recycling and brush grinding at certain county-operated sites. Next slide. And so this is an overview of the current commodity market. Again, because we are separating these materials at collection, they're cleaner, and so we're able to generate a higher revenue for these materials than you would for those single stream materials that are generated. And that's a lot of attention. That's a different subject in its own right. And we'll highlight an upgrade to one of our municipal recycling facilities later at a later date. But it's an issue now. And so this source separated program, again, allows us to generate a cleaner product. One thing that we're proud of is that the mixed paper that we collect supports a local business. Ms. Heller will tell you that it's an important business in Kent County. It's a green business, and it's a growing business, and that's Creophil. And we send all of our paper that we collect to Creophil. Actually, it's their primary source of fiber for their operation. So we're proud of that part. It brings jobs to the Upper Shore and the green jobs as well. So we're proud of that relationship as well. Any questions? Right.
Excellent. So Mr. Ford, yesterday morning, I had a monitor for someone. He was looking at my recycle, and I'm coming out of my house and I say to him, you know, there's no contamination in my recycle. And then I walk the dog and I see all these tags on all my neighbors. And I said, I've been well trained. We wash our recycling.
Yeah.
I thought that was
You live in Montgomery County, and they do inspections.
Yep. Yeah, that was a funny. Anyway.
And that is also a dual stream operation at Montgomery County. And so they're very concerned about the quality of the recyclable materials that they get into their facility. And they do get a fairly high price for their materials. Good.
Thanks, sir. Next slide.
Did you brag to your neighbors that you didn't get tagged?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't even see any of them. But he was impressed. He was impressed with my clean recycling material. Mrs. Crosby.
I'm here. Good morning. Okay. Item 1 is a project for the Maryland Department of Transportation Port Administration for Environmental Management System for Industrial Hygiene and Safety Service at MDOT MPA owned properties. This is an AE shortlist contract. The awarded contractor is KCI Technologies. The amount of the contract is $350,000, and the term of the contract is 2 years from the notice to proceed. The MBE goal on the project is 25%. KCI Technology Service would include hazard analysis of asbestos management plan support service, compliance training, and industrial hygiene services.
I move procurement item 1.
Is there a second?
This is JP, I second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Next slide.
Okay, item 2 is the Cox Creek Dredge Material Containment Facility Dike Rising project that Marnie mentioned earlier. This was a competitively sealed bid project. The awarded contractors Bowen and Cron Enterprise, Inc. The amount is $19,656,073.40. The term of the contract is 1,000 calendar days from the notice to proceed. The MBE goal on the contract is 25%.
That's a big number.
I think Mr. Coleman will have some comment on this later in his legal report, but it's lower than it was.
How many companies on the project?
How many companies? I didn't.
How many bid?
3.
This is JP. I'll move procurement item number 2.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, item 3 is transportation and processing bypass recyclable material for the Prince George's County material recycling facility. The awarded contractor is Penn Waste, Inc. The original term of the contract was February 2018 through January of 2021. The modified term was July 10th, 2021 through September 2021. It was board item 5 on January 22nd, 2018 for $468,000. And there were 4 change orders and 1 renewal. The amount of this change order is $575,000. Now the total revised contract amount is $3,903,213.07.
Any questions on this?
I move item 3.
This is Morgan Hall, I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4 is for the household hazardous waste collection for the Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill in Prince George's County. This was an emergency contract. The contractor is ACV Enviro. The original term of the contract was November 2020 through April 2021. A modified term through July of 2021. The original contract amount was $154,000. The amount of this change order is $161,000. The total revised contract amount is $315,000. MES performed an emergency contract for the county, and then they changed the scope and added the hazardous waste compliance part.
Any questions?
This is Morgan Hall. I make a motion that we move forward with item 4.
Thank you.
Mr. Shelley, I'll second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, item 5 is the Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill. This is a compliance monitoring and reporting contract from our AE shortlist. The amount of the contract, or the estimated amount, is $498,500. MBE goal of 20%. The AE will perform field operation and maintenance of the landfill, gas collection, flare and monitoring system located at the landfill. This includes routine blower, flare station, daily inspection, and routine well field and pipeline inspections.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
Move to accept.
Thank you, Judge Smolkin.
Morgan Hall. Morgan Hall, second.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, item 6 is for Sandy Hill Creative Disposal Project pursuant to a consent order, assistant compliance monitoring project. This is a contract from our AE shortlist as well. The estimated amount is $498,000. The MBE goal on this contract is 20%. The AE will provide professional service and support to Prince George's County ongoing consent order with MDE. This includes efforts to maintain compliance pursuant to the roles and responsibility outlined in the settlement agreement.
I have a general question, if I might. I'm seeing many things coming out of Prince George's County and some other counties. Do we maintain a roster of how much work we do with a particular county in the state?
Yeah, our finance department can segment different clients anyway to Sunday. So yes, we do.
Wanted to see what's happening in the other counties, Allegheny County, et cetera, the smaller ones that we don't see very much, that I see here anyway, or have seen.
Our environmental operations group, and Mr. Ford can correct me if I get this wrong, but it has a focus in approximately 7 counties. So the 4 shore counties, and then Hartford, Montgomery, and Prince George's. That's why you see such a heavy dose from those counties. The Northeast Waste Disposal Authority does project management for environmental operations for solid waste and recycling for the central counties, Baltimore, Baltimore City, Howard, and Arundel. So they have that area of the state covered.
Thank you.
The primary focus is on those counties, as Dr. Glass mentioned, but we do smaller compliance-related work for Garrett County, Somerset County. We've worked with Allegheny County as well.
And St. Mary's.
Those are smaller contracts.
St. Mary's too, right?
St. Mary's as well, correct.
Okay, thank you.
And Carroll.
Move to adopt.
Is there a second?
Mrs. Shelley, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay. Item seven, Sandy Hill Creative Disposal Project Support Service for Compliance Monitoring and Reporting. This too is an AE shortlist contract. The estimated amount is $490,000, and the MBE goal on this contract is 10%.
I'll move item 7.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
JP, I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Item 8 is to supply general labor service for Prince George's County Material Recycling Facility. This was a competitively sealed bid. The awarded contractor is CMT Service. This is actually exercising the second year option on this contract in the amount of $2,124,772. The revised total contract amount now is $5,053,588.80. The MBE goal on this contract is 25%. This contract will count toward 100% of the MBE participation because CMT is a certified MBE.
JP, I'll move.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Morgan Hall, second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, item 9 is for the ECI natural gas pipeline installation and propane conversion. This item was before the board back in April 29th, 2021 as a pre-solicitation award in the amount of $1,659,600. It is now back before the board because after the competitively sealed bid, Chesapeake Turf LLC, the awarded contractor, bid is $2,273,516. The term of this contract is 150 days, and the MBE goal on the contract is 20%.
So this is a good project. I'll move item 9.
Is there a second?
This is JP, I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And that concludes the procurement items.
Thank you.
Just a review of any notifications. Any questions on any notifications? Thank you. Hearing none. Oh, next, that was 2 pages. Sorry. And next one. Mr. Coleman.
Well, good morning, all. A few things I wanted to update you on. First is that we have started the process to hire a 4th attorney to work with our office, and we've been conducting interviews for that position. We're hoping to have a candidate in place sometime around in the August timeframe. As you can imagine, just based on the long list of procurements that you just approved, our office has been very busy, as it typically is in June, reviewing and approving a multitude of agreements and proposals that come through. We're also assisting Dr. Glass and other agency management with the transition to the new statute, which goes into effect on July the 1st. There's a number of matters that we need to be putting into place and that require input by our office. The matter that Dr. Glass alluded to earlier related to Cox Creek, you may recall that MES was named as a defendant in an action in circuit court for Anne Arundel County by a bidder on the previous procurement for work at Cox Creek. different project. MES ultimately canceled that procurement and that contract, redesigned the project to some extent, and issued the new bid, which you just approved today. The litigation in circuit court ended in our favor. The bidder in that case, who was challenging the procurement, did file an appeal to the Court of Special Appeals, which is currently pending. But we've been verbally advised that appellant is going to withdraw their appeal. We haven't seen that in writing yet, but we've been told that that's going to be happening soon. Finally, I just want to also express my appreciation and esteem for our departing board members, some of whom I've worked with for a long time, others not so long, but I've greatly enjoyed working with all the board members and appreciate their input and their dedication, and certainly the professional courtesy that they've always extended to me and to my staff. I'll also point out that not only are we losing our longest serving board member today, this will also be the last meeting for our board member with the shortest term of office, because Ms. Furketic will no longer be a member of the board as of July the 1st. So we're losing both the short end and the long end. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
Thank
you. Pleasure working with all of you.
Same here.
Any old or new business? Hearing none. I'll just end. The next meeting is July 15th. Thank you all for your service. Everyone have a great summer. And I'll request the call for adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Snee.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you all. Look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you.
So long,
Take
and
care,
happy
guys.
4th of July to everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
Happy belated Father's Day to all of the dads online.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
You too.
Goodbye, all.